This is really not a question, but it kind of speaks to the perceptions that we're talking about. I went to an art exhibit of an artist that I really like, and she paints, she's a very good contemporary abstract artist, and I really love her work. And it was kind of an unintentional view of a awareness's perspective. But anyway, there was this beautiful painting, and I loved it, and a lot of people were drawn to it. And my first impression of it was just color, shape, light, darkness. There wasn't any content. There wasn't anything there, right? And we were enjoying it, and people were kind of speculating about it. But later on in the exhibit, I walked closely to and looked at the title. And the title was A Woman in Kimono. I couldn't see a painting again after that. Not the way that I had originally seen it. Then I saw the woman in the kimono. Yeah. So the conceptual overlay had come right in, and from then on, the raw experiencing had been veiled.
Yeah, that's a good example.
I thought it was a very good example of that. So.
And what we're suggesting here is not that those concepts are not necessary and valid. We need, for practical purposes, to have the concepts of chairs, speakers, microphones, cups of tea, people, etc., etc. That these are, but they're just abstract concepts that are superimposed by thought onto the reality of experience. And we have ceased seeing the reality of experience. We just see the abstract concepts. And once we have become so conditioned to seeing the abstract concepts that we think they are really there, so much so that we can't see the real experience anymore. Just like, I mean, you see how powerful it is. You just read the title once, Woman in Kimono, and just that one piece of conditioning prevented you from seeing a mixture of colors and shapes. Now, imagine that conditioning rehearsed day in, day out for decades. That's what's happened to us. So all we see is actually what we know. We see what we think, as you were saying. So what we do here is the kind of opposite process. We go, like this morning, we take away the labels. First of all, we take away the label body, then we take away the label sensation, then we take away the label sensing, and we keep on taking away the labels until experience is just so intimate, so raw, that thought simply cannot rise to give it a name. Any name thought gives it, we realize, no, it's not that. Thought just stays asleep unless it's needed, because it cannot say anything true about experience. So unless it's required for a particular purpose, it stays in the background, and life is experienced as it is, not the woman in the kimono, but just this dance of colors and sounds and sensations, and with no self, no particular self or object or person or state anywhere in the picture, just one dance, one seamless, intimate dance, everything dancing with itself, not people and objects dancing and relating with one another, just one dance, dancing within itself, with itself. So yeah, that's a nice example. Go on. Cézanne's carrot quote, yes, he said, a time is coming, and he said this quite some time ago, he said, a time is coming when a single carrot, freshly seen, will trigger a revolution. Yes, if we truly see any apparent object as it truly is, in other words, not as an object, it will trigger a revolution. And yes, a revolution where the whole edifice, the presumption on which our world culture is built, that matter is the reality of experience and that awareness is fleeting and unnecessary. This whole edifice will come down. Imagine the implications if this understanding was the presumption of our culture. I mean, what kind of a world would we live in? So yeah, it would trigger a revolution. William Blake said exactly the same thing. When the doors of perception are cleansed, everything will be seen as it truly is, infinite. When the doors of perception are cleansed from this conceptual labeling, girl in kimono, woman in kimono, when the way we see is cleansed of that conceptual overlay, everything, all apparent things and objects and selves will be seen as they truly are, not finite things, but infinite awareness. Everything will be seen as the face of God, as the Sufis say.
I wanted to ask something about yesterday. In response to one of the questions, you said that we don't have control over our thoughts, and if a person actually thinks he has control, it makes him act irresponsibly. If you, something like that. If you could explain the last part of it.
The last part of it?
Yeah. If a person thinks, I see that we don't have control over this, over our thoughts, but why, if a person thinks he has control, it makes him act irresponsibly? You
see that we don't have control over our thoughts. Why would I say, if we feel we do have so the implication, very often, I understand it's not the case for you, but very often when you first say to someone, you don't have control over your thoughts, the implication is, oh, well, then I would just behave completely irresponsibly. Yeah. So the reason I said that was because actually